Hello and welcome to another episode of Kuma's Kitchen, and tonight we've got the monster grilled cheese and bulgogi sandwich. Now, bulgogi is a Korean dish. Now, back when I was first in Japan, I was on a tourist visa for 2 years, and I had to go out and come back in again every 90 days. So I used to fly over to Seoul, Korea, stay a night, and then come back. And one of my favorite dishes when I was in Seoul was bulgogi. It's basically, usually it's beef. I've used pork, but you can use either. And it's kind of spiced up a little bit, not too much, so it's nice. It was really delicious. And they used to serve it with all kinds of little goodies too. So you had the beef and you had little goodies around it. Well, what I've done is I've put it in a sandwich along with Gouda cheese, melted the cheese. It's sitting inside this big ciabatta bun. Is it ciabatta or ciabatta? I'm never too sure, but yeah, you know what I mean. Those big buns. You can't get these buns. You could make this with a baguette. Any loaf of bread would do, whatever. But look at it. It's full of that bulgogi meat and cheese. Lots of cheese melted in there. Oh yeah. And this is dinner tonight. This is going to be filling. I made 2 of them. There's 1 for each of us. There probably will be leftovers. Alright, let's go in the kitchen and make this right now. So here we've got the ingredients for our sandwiches. We're going to make 2 sandwiches. So across the front I've got 3 tablespoons of, well, it's my usual unrefined cane sugar, some kind of pale or brown sugar. You want something, a little flavor to it. So brown sugar is great for that. So that's 3 tablespoons. 3 cloves of garlic crushed. We've got here 2 tablespoons of sesame oil and a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Now, the addition is, and it's an optional addition, 1 tablespoon of gochujang. Gochujang, this comes in a little case like this. Gochujang. Now, it's a Korean paste. You can find this in the Asian section of your supermarket. It's quite popular, and it's a little spicy. That's why I say it's a optional. If you don't like spicy things, you may not want to put that in, and it's fine without. I like a little spice in there. You can even go 2 tablespoons if you're really, more masochistic or whatever. I'd go with 1 tablespoon, it's just right. The meat. What I got here is 1 1/4 pounds or 560 grams of thinly sliced pork. You remember last time I was using, it was called Kuma. This one's actually kiriotoshi, which is basically kind of the same thing. It's cutoffs. It's the stuff that didn't make the cut because it was a little ragged or whatever. Perfect for what we need. So that's it. So 1 1/4 pounds or 560 grams of that. Over here, I've got 12 ounces or 340 grams of Gouda cheese grated. Now I've got here ciabatta buns, about that size. So there's the bigger ones they make at my local bakery, and I've cut them in half like that. All right. So first thing we want to do is we want to marinade that meat. So let's just move the ciabatta buns over here, move the cheese over to the side too, bring a bowl in here, and what I'm going to do in the bowl is I'm going to put in the soy sauce, then the sesame oil. Sesame oil adds just a little different flavor from other oils. It was very oriental cooking flavor. Alright, the sugar, the garlic, a little mix. So at this point you can just do this and leave it at that, but I'm going to throw in that gochujang. It's a nice paste. Look at that. Alright, that's it. Ooh, it's a little spicy. Alright, gotta mix that in. So just whisk it until the gochujang is dissolved into the rest. Now I'm going to toss the meat in there. Off to one side. Probably gonna be easier to flip using my little spatula here. So what I'm gonna do now is I want to mix this around. I want to get all the meat coated with that nice marinade. So just keep flipping around until you see that marinade has been incorporated throughout the meat. That's looking really good. Now, what I want to do now is I'm going to let it sit for at least an hour. Hour, 2 hours. You could do this in the morning, let it sit all day. I mean, the longer the better. So what I do here is I'm going to put it in this covered container. That way I can just let it sit there. So now here, plop that in. Whoa, a little marinade went over the edge. That's not bad. Let's go to no taste, yeah. All right, let's get the rest of that marinade in there. That's all good stuff, so we want it all in there. Okay, then put the lid on. Just gonna let that sit about an hour, probably about 2 hours till I go to cook the rest. Now, you got it sit out all day or for a long time. I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator. It's just gonna be sitting here a little while, so I'm just gonna leave it here on the counter. All right, see you in a little while when we're gonna cook that up, put together our sandwiches. So I'll let that marinate for about 2 hours, and that's gonna be just great. What I do now, cook it. So I'm gonna got my fry pan here. Got the non-stick, so I don't even need any oil or anything. There's a little bit in there, so good to go. You can turn that on medium heat. And then I'll get all that meat and all the marinade into here. So let's get all that goodness out there. All right, and then off to one side here. Get that meat going. Oh yeah, you can see it's been nicely marinated now. The color's changed. Soaked into the meat. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna cook this for about 8 to 10 minutes. Medium heat. Stirring it around, stirring it around. I'll see you back here shortly. So it's been cooking for 8 minutes. Well, look at that. Nicely browning. The nice thing when you got these thin cuts of meat, you really don't need to cook that long. And, well, we're ready to go. So let's turn the heat off. Look at that. So one thing you got to do with a lot of times with this meat is just, as you're cooking it, you're just breaking it up and it gets stuck together. That's looking very good. All right, so let's get that off to one side. Let's bring in the baking sheet. What I do now is I take these and split them up on the baking sheet. Set that flatten down a bit. Problem with those tops, they still don't sit so nicely, but that'll do. Go on. All right. Now, I've got a pair of tongs here. Use a pair of chopsticks, whatever. What I'm going to do now is just pile this nicely onto here. Gonna divvy that up amongst all these pieces of bread. Okay, that looks pretty nice and even. Now, what I want to do is basically get that, bits and pieces, and the sauce. We've got some sauce left in here, so I'm just gonna drizzle that a little bit on each one. That's gonna soak down into the bread. That's just deliciousness. Alright, that's looking good. And off to one side. Now, the cheese. Well, that just gets divvied up amongst all of them again. Alright, so basically got it all divvied up amongst here. Gonna get some pieces that go overboard, but that's okay. Those are all those little crusty pieces that are tasty to dig off after is neat. Alright, that's going in the oven over there. Gonna put it under the broiler about 6 to 7 minutes. Just enough to basically melt the cheese down into the meat. And kind of a little bit of toasting to the bread. And then we're ready to slam them together and make wonderful sandwiches. There we go. Cheese is nicely melted into the meat. That is perfect. Now, the tricky part. And this, let's see, maybe we can all vote on, is he gonna mess it up or is he gonna do it without making a mess of the kitchen? What I gotta do is I gotta flip this part onto that part, so the tops onto the bottoms, and you gotta be kind of quick with this because remember, the cheese is on top. It's not really holding the meat in place, so boom. Oh yeah. Oh, we did lose one piece of meat. Oh, that's good. There's another piece of meat there. And it drops out. That is chef's food. Right. I think this one's going to be easier because that's a more square piece. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Didn't even lose a piece. Alright, alright. So, what we got here, some big monster grilled cheese and Bulgogi sandwiches. That's looking great. Alright, if you like this recipe, and who wouldn't, well, stick around. There's a lot more here on the Kuma's Kitchen channel. These are all original Kevin Rowley concoctions, things that I come up with. Also, make sure that you, if this is your first time here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell, because that way you see what else my fertile, some would say crazy mind, comes up with. You just never know. Now, go make these and make cooking fun again with Kuma's Kitchen.